What's up, everybody? Hope y'all feeling good. This PJ with Matt Black Tech, back here with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the Xbox Series S. Now, it's been more than 2 years since this console's been released, and I have a little time with it just to see how it's been performing. And it's honestly the best current-gen console purchase decision, and at the same time, it's the worst. Stick around and I'm going to explain exactly what I mean, and who should actually purchase this machine and who should steer clear from it. Now, starting off with the video, getting right into it, let's talk about that design. Now, honestly, to be short and sweet and to the point for you guys, it's a pretty standard console design. Do I like it? It's okay for me personally. I do think it's all right, but as far as the two-tone look with the black exhaust right there for the fan, I'm not too much of a fan of that. And but besides that, it's a pretty standard console design. Now, what I can say about it though is the compactness of it. I did not expect it to be so small. It looked a little bit bigger in photos before I actually received the console. I thought it was going to be similar to my Xbox One S in size, but it's much smaller than that. I mean, just look at how small it is. Like, you can just take it in pretty much any bag and just throw it in there. So the portability of this is great, but I wouldn't consider that too much of a pro as far as the design, just simply because it's a home console. So once you set this up and plug it in, it's probably going to stay in the same room, definitely most likely the same house. So that's not too much of a pro unless you just want to just take it back and forth to your friend's house, but most of your friends probably already have a console as well. So that's not too much of a pro for the design, but overall it's okay. I'll give it like a C+, average. But once again, design is a subjective point, so I'm going to leave that up to you. Now, moving on from the design, let's go ahead and talk about my use case for this machine. Now, for me personally, I'm not even gonna lie to you. I don't use it often simply because I have the Xbox Series X. But when I do use it, honestly, it's more of like a HBO machine, you know, for Hulu and Netflix, just a streaming service device. But sometimes I do play games on it, and I have no troubles with those games. The games that I don't play on it though, and I kind of don't recommend, are the AAA games, more demanding games such as, you know, Call of Duty or other games of that nature that you may play, or like Forza Horizon, things like that. I would just have a much better experience with that on my Series X, simply because I also have the hardware such as, you know, a nice OLED LG TV that can take advantage of the features of the Series X. So for that, for me personally, it does matter, which affects my use case, and your use case may be different, which I'm going to get into later in the video. So, you know, you might be having still a 1080p TV that may be 60 hertz or a 4K 60 hertz TV, in which case for you, the Series S is going to be a much better option. Now let's go ahead and talk about the performance. So, you know, I can't talk about performance without talking at least a little bit about the specs. So let me go ahead and just say a couple bit of nerd numbers really quickly. Now, the Series S does have around 4 teraflops of GPU performance, and that's compared to the Series X's around 12 teraflops of GPU performance. Now, what does that mean in English? Better graphics, bro. Better graphics. That's essentially what that means. So, you know, if let's say this may run a game at 1080p or 1440, then you could expect a higher resolution on the Series X, such as, you know, 4K. Now, as far as the CPU performance, that's just the GPU performance. As far as the CPU is roughly the same as you get on the bigger brother in the Series X. The difference being a little bit of lower clock speed. So you should expect similar responsiveness when, you know, moving around and browsing through the UI and things like that. They're both AMD processors. One is just clocked at 3.8 gigahertz versus the Series S's lower clock speed of 3.6 gigahertz. So as I said before, the performance should be roughly the same when doing things like browsing through the UI. And before I forget, I want to briefly mention the storage. I'll just be simple and to the point. 512 gigabytes is just not enough for this machine, especially if you plan on playing a large library of games, especially AAA games like Call of Duty or something like that. That's about 150 gigs in itself. So only expect about 3 or 4 games if you plan on playing large AAA games. So you should definitely consider that and take that into account when you're thinking about purchasing this machine. And now I want to move on to who this is for. And that actually still kind of piggybacks off of my segment about the performance, because I kind of wasn't done with that, because that's a big part of this thing about who it's for. Now, the performance for me, they've been promising a, you know, 120 hertz 1440p console. That's actually turned out to be more accurate for the bigger brother, the Series X, more often than not, let alone this one. So honestly, for me, if I'm getting 120 hertz, it's been around 1080p, most definitely. And as far as how I found that out, I actually have an FPS tracker built in onto the LG OLED TV. I have the C10, so you can track the frame rates and whatnot, and it's always been dipping below 60 hertz constantly when you have it in higher resolutions. or under 120 hertz all the time. That's just not a reliable machine for 120 hertz. So who I think that this machine is for would be someone, like I said earlier a little bit, with if you have an older TV, especially a 1080p TV, don't even get the Series X, because you can't take advantage of the extra hardware built into that. Or if you have a 4K 60 hertz TV. But one thing that you have to keep in mind is how long you're going to have the console. I don't know about you, but I personally keep my consoles until the new one comes out. So it's going to be like, at least about 6, 7, 8 years until the new ones come out. So will you upgrade your TV to 120 hertz better TV by then? Probably. Maybe. That's up to you to decide, but I can tell you one thing: if you do get a better TV and you have this, you are gonna be missing out, and that's just something to consider when you're comparing this versus the Series X. Now, the availability is another story as well, but they are becoming more available, and if you're just a little patient and look around and you really do want the Series X, then go ahead and get that if you think that this is not the good fit for you. But for everyone else who has, not the greatest TV, maybe it's 4K 60 or something basic like that, or you don't play too much, or you already have a PS5, definitely still worth it. Go ahead and purchase it. But for everyone else who needs, a little bit better specifications, or who likes to 120 hertz, or maybe if you have a 1080p gaming monitor that's 120 hertz, I would say get it. But for everyone else, go ahead and steer clear. This is not the machine for you. Go ahead and get the bigger brother, or grab a PS5 digital edition. So it can't hurt. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. I appreciate it, and sorry for the delay on this video. I got more videos coming soon. So go ahead, hit that like, comment, and subscribe if you guys think I deserve it, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Take care.